Okay, so let us start the new chapter today, set off or carry forward and set off of losses. We have covered all the 5 heads of income. We have covered the concept of clubbing of income. And now the question arises, when there is a loss under any head, then how to deal with those situations. It's not that always I'll be having positive income. So many times I can be having negative incomes also. How to deal with those negative income, this is the main issue. Now before starting this chapter set off, let me share the word file with you and let me show you what type of problems can arise. So I'm talking about losses. That means there are 5 heads of income, so there can be 5 losses if maximum. Salaries, property, PGBP, capital gain, IFOS. There can be maximum 5 losses, but salary cannot be having negative income. Salary can never show loss, can never give a loss, because you are working with someone, so you will earn something. You will work and you will pay. That is not possible. So there is no concept of salary head as far as negative income is concerned. So salaries cannot show me negative income. House property can show me negative incomes. House property can show me negative incomes. Because house property can show negative income. Whenever my interest payment, interest on borrowed capital exceeds what? Annual value, I'll be having negative income. This is sure. In fact, self-occupied properties are having higher chances of having negative incomes than the let-out property, but that is none of our job. I'm concerned with negative income, whether for let-out property or self-occupied, and for whatever reason, but negative income. So it is possible that house property shows you negative income. And suppose there are 2 types of house properties or 3 properties. For example, there are 3 properties: house property 1, house property 2, house property 3. Now, one house property can show negative, another can show positive, third one can show negative. Any combination is possible. This is allowed. Allowed means there are situations when one house will show negative, another will show positive, and we have to deal with the situation, how to tackle it. PGBP. Now there are 3 types of businesses. Some businesses are speculative in nature. So we call those as speculative business, where speculation is involved. Please wait for 2 minutes. Some businesses are speculative in nature, where other than actual delivery, you are earning or losing something. Where you are speculating that when this will happen, there will be this much amount of income, etc., etc. So I will show you section 43 clause 5 later on, which defines what is a speculative business or which defines what is a speculative transaction. But there are some businesses which are speculative businesses and we call those as speculative business. If you remember section 35, now other than speculative, then you have non-speculative business, and most of the businesses are non-speculative in nature. Any cloth shop, stationery shop, juice shop, any business, most of these businesses are non-speculative. Within non-speculative, there are two categories. Some are special. Within non-speculative, there are two categories. Some are special. And do you remember section 35 AD? 35 AD is not in our course, but I told you when I was discussing PGBP, then I need section 35 AD for the purpose of this chapter, set off and carry forward of losses. So 35 AD is having some special businesses, cold chain, etc., etc. And Act call those businesses as specified businesses. That is also non-speculative, but within non-speculative, it is special. So we are calling those businesses as speculative businesses of section 35 AD. Then all other are, you can say, other non-speculative businesses. So in PGBP head, there can be two types of businesses: non-speculative, speculative. Within non-speculative, there are further two categories. Is it specified business which is written in section 35 AD or other business? Capital gain. Now there are two types of capital gain. Or loss. It can be short-term capital loss or gain, short-term, or I can say it can be long-term. In houses, or not only entire head, in fact within a head house property, whatever number of properties are there, there are chances that they have negative income. Within PGBP, whatever type of business is there, there are chances that there are negative income. Within capital gain, whatever type of capital gain is there, there are chances that there is a loss. Now in other sources, we divide these other sources broadly in three categories. Some are casual losses, casual incomes or losses like lottery, etc. These are casual. Other than this, one is activity of owning and maintaining race horses. If simple word race horse is written, for example, that is casual. If simple word horse race is written, that is a casual income. Like I am a lecturer and I invest in horse races. For me, it's a gambling income. But there are so many people who are engaged in the business of owning and maintaining race horses. They purchase the horses, they maintain the horses, and for their business purpose, they invest in horse races. Now, for those people, activity of owning and maintaining race horses is not a casual income. It is their normal income from other source. It is their normal income from other sources. You cannot call those as casual income because they regularly do such transactions. So many rich people basically do this work, activity of owning and maintaining resources. Or people who are good horse riders, they basically do this type of work, owning and maintaining resources. So don't confuse the word horse races or these two words, horse races, with activity of owning and maintaining resources. These two are totally different. Simple horse race, if these two words are written, it is my casual income. But if activity of owning and maintaining resources is written, it is not casual income. It is normal income from other sources. Third category, other incomes, others, then all other income from other sources. Now this is the overall structure which is necessary for you to know when you deal with the topic of set off or carry forward and set off. Set off means you set off in the same year. Carry forward and set off means first you carry forward to the next year and next year you set off. So when you read only first two words set off, that means it is talking about same year. After this, what? If you do not have sufficient profits to adjust the losses in same year, what option you have? You carry forward and in next year you set off. So this is what the combination is: set off or carry forward and set off. This is what the structure of entire set off and carry forward is. So you must know how many types of losses are there in different chapters. In salary, there is no loss. In house property, there can be loss of different house properties. In PGBP, there are three types of losses or incomes, because all these heads can show you, all these subheads can show you income as well as losses. Speculative business, specified business of 35 AD, and other non-speculative. Short term, long term in capital gain. In other sources, three categories: casual, owning and maintaining resources, and others. Now, if this structure is clear, please raise your hand. Any problem? Otherwise, you can ask. Okay, now my next concept. Now, before starting now, let me show you the website of the tax department and let me show you what I will teach you now. Now see what. Now I am in the chapter 6 of the Income Tax Act. The heading is aggregation of income and set off or carry forward of losses. Aggregation of income and set off or carry forward of losses. I am starting with my set off starts before section 70, section 66 till section 69D. This talks about aggregation where you add the incomes. That is not relevant for us. I have to start from set off and carry forward. And now which sections are in my course? Starting from section 70 till 70 till 80. But I will tell you which sections to do. Otherwise, I am starting my first section, section 80. Now what it says, if you click section 70, what it says, section 70, set off or carry forward and set off. Now, what is this structure basically? There are three steps of adjusting negative incomes. First is intra-head. Like there are three house properties in my example. First, I should try to adjust within house property head, negative and positive. Like house property 1 may show negative, house 2 and 3 may show positive. So first, I should try to adjust within the same. This is my first stage. If house property 1 has negative income of 1 lakh, house property 2 has positive income of 30,000, house property 3 has positive income of 50,000. House 1 negative 1 lakh, house 2 positive 30,000, house 3 positive 80,000. So what is my first step? Intra head. Within the same head, first you try to adjust negative. So what is the net result? If I show you again the word file, let me show you again the word file. Suppose house property 1 has negative 1 lakh. House property 2 has positive 30,000. House property 3 has positive 50,000. What is the net result if I merge these? or combine these -1 plus 30 plus 50. Still, the answer is what? Negative. Negative -20. But do you know I have applied which step here? Step 1 of the chapter set off or carry forward and set off side. I applied which step? Step 1 of adjustment. And step 1 is known as intra-head. That first of all you apply the negative and positive within same head. Still, if negative remains, then you search for other heads. That is known as my step 2. That is known as my step 2. That is known as inter-head adjustment. For example, my short-term capital loss is 1 lakh. Short-term capital gain, and I will write negative so that I can easily check whether something is positive or negative. So there is a gain 1 lakh. My long-term capital gain is 1 lakh 30. So what is the net result? What is the net result? Do you know what is the net result? Net result is plus 30. And when I say this thing, that means I applied what? Step 1. I applied what? Step 1, which is intra-head. Till this point, if you have any problem, please ask. Otherwise, raise your hand. So in both these examples, I applied step 1, intra-head, that within same head, first you try to adjust. Now, my house property was having negative income. My house property was having negative income. After applying step 1, so I have step 2. Or rather than 30,000 in capital gain, let me make it as 1 lakh 15. Let me make it as 1 lakh 15 and my net result is 15,000. Now after applying intra head for house property head, still I have negative. Government says no issue. Then you go to the step 2, apply inter head. So what I will do? I will adjust my house property loss here. House property, how much? Only 15,000 is allowed because I have positive of capital gain only 15. 15 and my net result is what? The capital gain will show nil. Do you know how I have computed my capital gain? Now I applied step 2 is what? Interhead. This is my point. This is my step 2 application, that once your same head is exhaustive, you don't have sufficient positive in the same head, no issue. You go to the next stage, interhead, and try to adjust negative of the one head against positive of another. But in my question, I had only 15,000 positive. So I have my step 3. And what is my step 3 now? What is my step 3? When I found that there is no other positive, then I will say that in my example, what I will say, step 3, rupees 5,000 HP loss will be carried forward to the next year. And when I write this line, do you know what I did? I applied step 3, which is what? It is what? Carry forward and set off. This is how the structure of set off and carry forward will go. First, intra head, and intra head is also known as inter source. also known as inter-source. Inter-source is not equal to inter-head. Head is supreme, source is small. Or you can say head is having wider composition than the source. Intra-head or inter-source? Inter-head. And third step, carry forward and set off. Now, is this structure clear? Please raise your hand. Have you understood this example? Have you understood this example? Now, the main thing is not this. The main thing is you must know which negatives are allowed against which positive. I took a very small example where what do you know practically what rules are applicable. I will show you those rules later on. Let me write the rules. Rules HP laws. These are the rules. Laws of let me simplify this for you. Let me make a table for you. Simplification table 4 for the rules of step 1 and step 2. That means this table talks about intra-head and inter-head rules. It is not so easy. I simply assumed a small example of house property, but so many losses have some restriction that I cannot be adjusted against this, etc., etc. Now, let me try to show on the column in different columns. Let me try to show the losses. So this talks about losses. And this is profits. The above is profit, and here these are losses. Salary cannot be having negative. So in rows, I will write negative things. HP and PGBP. Within PGBP, I have three categories. First, speculative, speculative. Second, non-speculative, but within non-speculative, you know that there are two categories. Within non-speculative, there are two categories. Point A, specified business. 5 AD. And point B, and point B is what? Other non-speculatives. After this, I'm leaving one line blank. Or no need to leave one line blank, ignore it. Then my third point is capital gain. Within capital gain, short-term capital loss and it is capital gains head. Capital losses, I should rather use the word. Short-term capital loss, long-term capital loss. IFOS. Within this, I have framed two categories. If you remember, casual, casual losses like gambling, etc. Owning and maintaining resources. I'm writing short form owning and maintaining, or not short form, entire line, resources. Other losses. Profits then. Now same thing which is negative can be positive. My HP, my salary head. Now positive can be salary also. Then HP head. Then here PGBP head. But do you know in PGBP there can be three positives. If you remember in PGBP there can be three different categories. It can be specified business profit. It can be not specified, it should be speculative first. Speculative business. Within non-speculative, I can say that specified business 35 AD, other non-speculative. I hope you are getting this structure of my presentation, that what I want to convey to you. Within other sources, there are three, sorry, not other sources. Now I have capital gains also. This is capital gain. STCG and LTCG. Similarly, other sources. Within other sources, there are three categories. Gambling, casual incomes. Owning and maintaining resources. These are other incomes. Other incomes. Now, is this structure clear? Please raise your hand if the presentation is clear. Please raise your hand if the presentation is clear. Have you understood that in the rows I have written losses, in the columns I have given the heading profits. Now, I will show you the act later on. Let me first tell you the concepts, and then I will show you how I have decided it, or how anyone decides it on the basis of act, of course. Now, first, let me talk about step one. Let me talk about step one only. For the time being, let me talk about step one. Let me first talk about only step one, HP. Now, when I'm talking about step one, where I will go only in HP head. Now, can HP negative, one negative HP be adjusted against another positive HP? Answer is yes. There is no problem. It can be adjusted. It's allowed. So is one negative HP be allowed to be adjusted against other positive HP? Answer is yes. This is my intra-head of house property. Are you understanding the point now? Please raise your hand if you have understood what I want to convey. It is my intra-head of house property. One negative HP be adjusted against positive HPs of other properties. Now, next head. PGBP speculative loss. If it is speculative nature, it can only be adjusted against speculative business. These are PGBP. Voice coming? Is my voice coming to you? Is my voice coming to you? Can you listen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is my so I think there was some break in between. Is it so?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so because of some net connection, I think there was a problem. Anyhow, now even within intrahead, speculative business losses have some restriction. These cannot be adjusted against non-speculative business incomes. So even within intrahead, house property was very simple concept that negative income of house property can be adjusted against positive income of other property, but speculative business of PGBP can be adjusted only against speculative business positive. It cannot be adjusted against non-speculative business incomes. So here I will write no. It's not allowed. So let me write no. It will be easy. It's not allowed. Similarly, non-speculative business loss. Now I need to check which type of non-speculative business loss is this. Is it 35 AD? If yes, then it also has some restriction. It can only be adjusted against 35 AD business income. It cannot be adjusted against speculative business incomes or other non-speculative business income. These are the rules which you need to learn. Similarly, if you talk about other non-speculative business losses, other non-speculative means other than 35 AD, then these are having freedom. These can be adjusted against speculative business income, specified business incomes, as well as other speculative, non-speculative business income. This is what the point as far as PGBP is concerned. If it is clear, please raise your hand. You have to learn this. So I'm going about intra-head for the time being. I have not yet discussed about intra-head. It is intra-head rules. Then capital losses. Short-term losses can be adjusted against short-term gain as well as long-term gain. Both. But long-term losses can only be adjusted against long-term gain and not against short-term gain. This is what the point is. So short-term capital losses can only be adjusted against short-term and long-term, but long-term losses only against long-term, not against short-term. Now other sources, casual losses, these cannot be adjusted against even their own incomes. Ignore the other income from other sources. These cannot be adjusted against even their own same category expenses, incomes. What about others? Leave it. These have no sanctity. Nowhere these can be adjusted. Owning and maintaining resources, it can be adjusted against only from the owning and maintaining resources. And other losses, these can be adjusted against other incomes as well as owning and maintaining resources, but not against casual incomes. Nothing is allowed to be adjusted from casual income. Casual incomes. Now, no type of loss, I can say nothing is allowed to be adjusted against casual income. Please raise your hand if the rule of intra-head is clear to you. Negative HP, positive HP allowed. Speculative loss, speculative profit only allowed. 35 AD loss, only 35 AD income allowed. Non-speculative other losses, business allowed against speculative profit, 35 AD profit or other speculative profit. Short-term loss allowed, long-term short-term. Long-term loss only long-term. Casual loss is nowhere allowed, not allowed even against casual incomes. Owning and maintaining resources losses allowed only against profits of owning and maintaining resources. Other sources losses allowed against owning and maintaining resources as well as against other incomes, but not against casual income. This is what intra-head. Any problem you can ask. I discussed with you intra-head concept. So I think this is clear. Now my next stage where I will discuss with you interhead. Now interhead. Now once in the same table I can discuss with you interhead. Now HP negative. HP negative can be adjusted against salary. HP negative can be adjusted against salary. Now I will not read HP because intra head is over. So I will talk about only other heads. So HP negative can be adjusted against salary, can be adjusted against speculative business, can be adjusted against specified business, can be adjusted against non-speculative, can be adjusted against STCG, LTCG, not against casual income, but owning and maintaining as well as other. HP loss can be adjusted against any head within the head, any source except what? Casual incomes. It's not allowed. That is the only exception. Not allowed. Actually, casual income is a special income. Nothing can be adjusted against this. So directly you can write in every head. You cannot adjust any negative against this. इसकी खुद की नेगेटिव एडजस्ट नहीं हो पाई, दूसरे की तो क्या एडजस्ट होगी इसमें? Nothing is allowed. Nothing. It is necessary to show it by different colors, otherwise when the table is complete you will not be able to identify anything. It will look like very typical at the time when the table is complete. So that is why for intrahead I have kept the font as black color for intrahead, and where it is no in intrahead I am writing it with red color. It is about intrahead. It is about intrahead transactions. Intrahead not allowed shown with red color, intrahead allowed shown with black color. Intrahead allowed shown with blue color, sky blue I think, and intrahead not allowed I will show with not black, or I can keep it at black but background will be yellow. So those are interhead negatives, interhead not negated items. Now speculative business laws. In speculative business laws, you ignore interhead adjustment. In fact, even within intrahead, speculative business laws were adjusted against speculative profit only. Ignore about interhead. So when in intrahead also there was restriction, how can the law allows speculative losses to be adjusted against other heads? Interhead adjustment in speculative losses not at all allowed. Not at all allowed. Against any head, you cannot adjust it. Not allowed. Similarly, in non-speculative business losses under section 35 AD business losses, in fact within intrahead there were restrictions. 35 AD losses were allowed to be adjusted only against 35 AD profits and not even against other profits of PGBP. So how these are allowed? Why? How these can be allowed now? In interhead adjustment, it is not allowed. Not allowed. Other non-speculative business losses. Now there were no restriction in other non-speculative business losses in intrahead. That is why in interhead also these are allowed against any income, any head except two. One is by default, which is casual income, and another is salary. It is not allowed against salary, but it is allowed against all other incomes. It is allowed against house property. It's allowed against capital gains. It is allowed against within other sources, owning and maintaining resource, and what? Other incomes. Capital loss. These are not allowed interhead. Capital losses are not allowed under interhead adjustment. Not allowed. Neither short term nor long term. These are not allowed in interhead adjustment. These are not allowed. Other sources, casual losses, ये तो अलाउ होती ही नहीं है कहीं भी. इग्नोर इंटरहेड. इंटरहेड में खुद की इनकम के अगेंस्ट अलाउड नहीं थे, तो इंटरहेड तो कहाँ अलाउ करेंगे इसको? नॉट अलाउड. Owning and maintaining resources, in fact within intrahead there were restrictions, so that is very easy to learn. Any losses which is in fact within intrahead there are restrictions, these cannot be allowed interhead, so not allowed, because in fact within intrahead these were not allowed to be adjusted against other incomes. Now other losses, these are allowed to be adjusted against any income, any head, anywhere. No restriction except casual. That's it. How to read the table? The understanding of different color. First point, for intrahead, allowed is shown with black font and letter Y. Now you can understand it later on, otherwise it will become very difficult for you. And for intrahead, allowed is shown by black font and letter Y. Not allowed is shown by red font and letter, not letter, and word no. Similarly, for interhead, allowed is shown by what? Blue font, sky blue you can say, and letter Y. And not allowed is shown by ब्लैक फॉन्ट. मैंने गलत किया, उसमें प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगी. इट शुड बी रेड फॉन्ट. So give me some more minutes, let me rectify, otherwise there will be problem. Not allowed is shown by red font yellow background and word no. So this will help you basically in reading the table later on. Now I would like to show the act so that you can understand why I am saying this. You must know the reason behind. It's not my personal choice. It is written in the act. So let me again recheck the table so that there is no problem. Yes. Now please raise your hand if the table is a little bit clear. It will take some time, but please raise your hand if you have understood the overall structure of intrahead and interhead. Now let me simply show you how I have done these transactions, or you can say adjustments. Let me share the website with you and let me show you where these things are written. It is written in section 70. Now what is written in section 70? Set off of loss from one source against income from another source under the same head. That is what I was saying was inter source or intra head. I hope the website is clearly visible to you. Now this is what the point is. So whatever intra head points I have told you, that is totally based on section 70. Section 70. You can read it later on. Because of some time limitation, I am not in a position to read the act now as it is, which I used to do so in the earlier or initial phases of our classes. But still I would like to show you the original source. Section 71. It is based on all interhead adjustment. All my treatments of interhead is totally based on section 71. You can see here everything is written, whatever I have told you. Like now you can read it later on. Just like capital gain, I would like to show you section 71 subsection 3 what it says. So this is how you can learn. Where in respect of any assessment year, the net result of the computation under the head capital gains is a loss. That means whenever my capital gain head gives me loss and the assessee has income assessable under other head of income and I have positive incomes of other head, the assessee shall not be entitled to have such loss set off against income under the other head. That is why I told you also, because of this subsection, that capital losses cannot go in other heads. These have to remain in the same head. This is what the point is. So this is only a sample point. You can read it on your own later on. Now is step 1 and step 2 totally clear? I will use this when I will compute my total income. Please raise your hand if step 1 and step 2 are thoroughly clear to you. Now my third stage, carry forward and set up. So let me show you that also. Again, with the help of the table, I would like to show you the carry forward points. And after this table, my 90% of the chapter will be over, but I would like to show with the help of a numerical also. Now, let me show you a simplification table for the rules of step 3. Step 3 is what? Carry forward and set off. Now let me simplify this table. Now see, so I'm starting my next rule. Now, once any losses carry forward, one thing is sure that in the next year it will remain in the same head. So there is no interhead concept now. So points to be noted. Main point. Once loss of any head is carried forward in future or in next years, it will be adjusted only intra-head. Will be adjusted only intra-head. This is the main thing which I should remember always. Now, once HP loss is carried forward, in future it will be adjusted only against HP income and maximum time limit in years 8 years. For example, I will now start discussing examples. Examples on carry forward. First point, first example. Mr. X has HP loss in the previous year 2017-18 of rupees 1,60,000. Mr. X has a HP loss in the previous year 17-18. Okay, one thing I forgot to tell you that in this intra-head rule or inter-head rule, HP loss is allowed to be adjusted, but the maximum limit is 2 lakh rupees. So this point I forgot to tell you. Please remember it. I am writing a star here so that you can learn. In case of HP, star means HP loss is allowed to be adjusted interhead, but the maximum amount which can be adjusted is rupees 2 lakh. This is the main point. For example, let me explain it with the help of an example. For example, HP loss in the previous year 2019-20 is rupees 9 lakh and long term capital gain is rupees 5 lakh. In this case, do you know how much? Now, is HP loss allowed to be adjusted against capital gain? Answer is yes, there is no problem. But the maximum limit is 2 lakh. That means I can maximum adjust. LTC will become 3 lakh. Why? Because from 5 lakh, as per the rules of interhead, maximum I can adjust is 2 lakh. So LTCG will become 3 lakh. However, the assessee can carry forward remaining unadjusted HP loss of rupees 7 lakh. नेक्स्ट ईयर कैरी फॉरवर्ड कितना भी हो सकता है, पर इंटर हेड में सिर्फ 2 लाख ही एडजस्ट हो सकता है. I can carry forward remaining adjusted HP loss of 7 lakh, and in case it is assumed that the previous year, next year 2021, the assessee has a positive income of rupees, has a positive HP income of rupees 14 lakh, 13 lakh, then entire rupees 7 lakh forward HP loss is allowed to be adjusted. The final taxable HP income during the previous year 2020-21 will be rupees 6 lakh only. 13 lakh minus rupees 7 lakh. Are you getting the point? In the first year, in the main year means in that first year in which you have a HP loss, intra-head there is no limit. If I have one house property negative 7 lakh, other house property positive 10 lakh, I can adjust entire 10 lakh against the house property. Intra-head house property no limit, but inter-head house property in the first year in which you have HP loss, maximum you can adjust against other head is 2 lakh. All other heads, not single head, all other heads maximum 2 lakh adjustment is allowed. Remaining you can carry forward to the next year. And I told you that once it is carry forward, in future any loss will remain in the same head. Now once it is carry forward, the next year entire amount is allowed to be adjusted against this same head, and this 2 lakh limit doesn't work. 2 lakh limit is applicable only in the year in which there is a loss, and that too for inter head point, and that too only for the house property. There is no ceiling under any other losses. Please raise your hand if the concept is clear, otherwise ask me the doubt. Raman, is the concept clear? Now, this is one point which I forgot to tell you. Now, coming back to my question. X has a HP loss in the previous year 16-17 of 1, or let me make it as 2 lakh 60. Not 2 lakh 60, 8. And the non-speculative loss always it is business. When a speculative word come, it is business. Non-speculative business loss of rupees 10 lakh. This is all happening in 17-18. During the previous year 2017-18, Mr. X has a HP loss of rupees 860 in the business loss. The total income, the total, or you can say the final. How will the adjustment be done? How will you do? In this case, how will you do the adjustment? You will write non-speculative business loss. Sorry, I should not write the word loss. It is business income. Non-speculative business income of 10 lakh and less HP loss. How much loss I can adjust maximum? 2 lakh in the same year. I told you this. And this becomes taxable. ₹8 lakh. And I will write in note what? Rupees 6 lakh 60 HP loss will be carry forward. Now, do you know this loss will be carried forward up to how many years? Till how many years it can be carried forward? 8 years. Now these 8 are carry forward years. So the loss is in which year? 17-18. In this year it was the actual loss. ये loss इसी साल हुआ, इससे पहले नहीं था. So ignore 17-18 because that was the first year. My first carry forward year is 18-19. So 18-19, 19-20, 20-21, 21-22, 22-23, 23-24, 24-25, 25-26, 25-26. Till the previous year, 25, 26. In case it is adjusted till this time, it is clear. After this year, it remains unadjusted, it will lapse by default. उसके बाद गवर्नमेंट इसका कोई बेनिफिट आपको नहीं देने वाली है. अगर 10 साल में भी पॉजिटिव नहीं कर पाए तो छोड़ो इस काम धंधे को, फायदा क्या है. गवर्नमेंट कहती है कब तक करोगे, दूसरा काम पकड़ो फिर कोई. सो गवर्नमेंट सेज 8 साल में भी अगर नहीं लॉस एडजस्ट कर सकते हो तो छोड़ो भाई, फिर हम इससे ज्यादा बेनिफिट आपको नहीं दे सकते, आप कुछ और कोई काम करो, कोई दूसरा आएगा वो पॉजिटिव कमा के देगा, हम लोग फिर टैक्स लेंगे उससे. This is what the main point is. So have you understood how will you calculate these 8 years, and is it necessary to submit the return? Now if the loss is in the previous year 17-18, what is the due date of filing return of income of 17-18 for an individual? 31st July 18? Answer is no. Even if I do not file the return of income of time, still I can adjust this loss. Otherwise, in all other cases, if I want to claim the benefit of adjustment, I should file my return of income of time. ये होता है. If I want to claim the benefit of adjustment, I should file my return of income on time in all the cases except the case of house property. Here, even if I file the return of income late, still I am allowed to adjust this set off and carry forward point. Please raise your hand if the concept is clear. If not clear, please ask. Okay. Now, speculative business loss. It will HP within PGBP, of course, because I told you once it is carried forward, it will remain, any loss will remain in the same head. But even within the same head, it will allowed to be adjusted only against speculative business profits. Maximum limit 4 years. 35 AD loss allowed to be adjusted only against specified business income under section 35 AD. No limit, there is no time limit. Even for 100 years you can adjust it, there is no time limit. Other non-speculative business loss, it can be adjusted against. That is very excellent. That is excellent. It can be adjusted against any head. Speculative business profits, comma, specified business profits under section 35 AD, as well as against other non-speculative business profit. ये सबसे अच्छा है, इसको कहीं भी एडजस्ट कर सकते हैं. एट ईयर्स. STCL, STCG as well as LTCG, 8 years. LTCL, only LTCG, 8 years. Owning and maintaining resources. Income is also owning and maintaining race horses incomes. 4 years. That's it. But 90% topic is over. Any problem, please raise your hand. Sorry, if no problem, please raise your hand. You have to learn it. So the problem arises when you start learning it. It's easy for me to tell you, but you need your own time and space to revise this concept. Okay. Now let me show you from where I have told you this table carry forward. So let me show you the original act. It's only to show you the main knowledge, because in future you have to refer to that language only, not the language which I am telling you. Now see, for every carry forward head we have separate section. For intra head I was having only one section, section 70. For interhead, I was having only one section, section 71. For carry forward, for each head, I have separate section. Now, first section was 71B. As you can see, 71B is dealing with carry forward of losses of house property. And you can see all the things are written here. 8 years. I told you 8 years. This is written here. So everything in the table is just derived from the Act 71B. 72 was dealing with what? Non-speculative losses. 72 was dealing with what? Non-speculative losses. 72 is dealing with non-speculative losses. Here also I told you the time of 8 years. It is written here 8 years, not more than 8 years. Similarly, after 72, what is relevant is 73. It was talking about speculative business losses. As you can see, here the time limit is 4 years. Where it is written 4 years? This is written not for more than 4 years. 4. Similarly, for specified business, I have 73A. Everything which you read in any act must be having some legal sanctity. And here there is no time limit given. Time limit is not written. That is why no time limit. Similarly, capital gains, section 74 carry forward. Similarly, for owning and maintaining resources. Owning and maintaining resources. Time limit of 4 years is given. Where is given here for more than not allowed. For more than 4 not allowed. That's it. Now, let me again share with you the word file. And have you noticed one thing? Have you noticed one thing? That these losses cannot be carried forward. Income from other sources, remaining losses, except the loss of owning and maintaining resource is carried forward. Otherwise, these are some note. Note 1. And do you know what is note 2? Under the head income from other sources, except the loss of owning and maintaining resources. No other loss is allowed to be carried forward. It's not allowed. That is why it is missing in my table. This is what the point. Now, uh, let me tell you, there may be some points left. I think I should take a break now because it will become a little bit heavy for you, in my view. But if you are willing to continue it, I can continue. But let me see some relevant points. The chapter is 90% complete, but I need a full-fledged question, and I think. Do you want to have one full-fledged question right now or in the evening? If you want a break, we can be having a break also, but it's your choice. Kindly reply. Do you want to attempt one full-fledged question right now so that we can wind up the chapter, or in the evening you want to attempt? I can be having a break of 5 minutes. There is no problem. So kindly reply. I want to cover one full-fledged question. Do you want to do it right now or in the evening? If right now, after five
So,
minutes break, we can do. Yes, yes.
so after 5 minutes break, we can do right now.
Okay. And what about others?
Yes, sir, we can do it after 5 minutes.
Okay. So let's have a break of
Yes,
five
sir.
minutes. Let's have a break of 5 minutes. Then we will do one full-fledged question, and the chapter will be complete then. So let's wait for 5 minutes. Please raise your hand if you are available. If you are available, please raise your hand. Okay, so let me have a question for you, numerical, from your examination 2016 or whatever is that, even if not from examination, but let me show you a question. A submits the following particulars of his income and loss for the assessment year 2021. Income from house property computed. Computed means it is final taxable income. Income from interest from a partnership of before depreciation 40,000. Income from speculation business 3,200. Long term capital gain 9,100. Dividend from UTI Unit Trust of India 2,000. Current year depreciation 2,000. The following items have been brought forward from the preceding year. Loss from closed business 10,000. Unabsorbed depreciation 7,500. Loss from speculation 7,000. Short term capital loss 4,200. Long term loss 11,400. You are required to compute his gross total income and deal with carry forward of loss. Please take the screenshot of this. Please take the photo of this question and then I will scroll down the file. And please raise your hand when you have taken the photo or screenshot. Please raise your hand if you have taken this screenshot or photo. Now, let me start solving it. So basically, I have to simply compute the total income, not total income, gross. Gross means before deduction. Solution. Of whom? A. Now, what is the presentation? So start by head by head. Now in such questions, in the final table, you have to write only that figure which is not subject to any set of and carry forward. The final figure will go in this final column. All interhead adjustments will remain in the second last column. So how will you proceed? First head, HP. How much is HP income? How much HP income is given? 2,57,000. I cannot write anywhere because I do not know whether something will be adjusted from this or not. So for the timing, I cannot write it. I should leave it blank. Because I do not know which items will be adjusted and which not. But one thing you know is that there are basically so many these columns. The three columns, that's it. So I'm just writing HP, but I'm waiting for other figures to arrive at. Similarly, or basically let me not make the table. It will become a little bit typical. You say that there are three columns: final column, last column, and then particulars. Now HP, then blank, then income from interest from partnership firm. Can you tell me under which head this interest income will be shown? Can you tell me under which head this interest income will be shown? Anyone who can tell me the answer? Under which head this income will be shown? Under which head interest income received by A from the partnership firm is shown? Can you tell me? It is PGBP. Though it is interest, I told you earlier that whatever you receive as a partner from the firm, it is always PGBP. So it is my PGBP income. Interest. Again, I am not writing anything. Profit from cloth business. Now it is another business. Profit from cloth business. How much is this? Profit from cloth business. Cloth is non-speculative business. The profit 40,000, but it is before depreciation. Why it is before depreciation? I should deduct depreciation because depreciation is valid as per section 32. So why it is before? I should deduct depreciation. And how much is the depreciation? Now these all the figures in the question are current year figures. I will not check these figures because these all are last year figures. I will not check these figures till I finally arrived at my final income of current year of each and every head. Because first you finalize current thing, finally, then you search for carry forward and adjustment. Till current year is final, there is no benefit of adjustment. Or no benefit, that means legally you cannot do any adjustment. First you get the net result of current year. So don't check this highlighted text till you have all the heads final income with you. So let's depreciation. So what is my current year depreciation? 2000 rupees. Deduct it. Now this I can say 38 is my income under the head PGBP, or not PGBP, only from cloth business. Final income or taxable income of taxable business income of cloth business 38,000. Then income from speculation business, that is also PGBP, but I will leave some lines blank because this interest of partnership from cloth business, these all are non-speculative. And speculative is having another category, leave some lines blank and then write. Speculative business. How much is the profit? Income is how much? 100. But I'm not writing it anywhere because I do not know in which column I will write. Let us wait. Long-term gain, again under which head? It is capital gain. Capital gain heads. I will write LTCC, but I'm not writing in any column because I do not know in which column I need to write. It depends upon entire question study. Dividend from UTI, if you remember, dividend from Domestic company till 10 lakh is exempt under section 10 clause 34, and dividend from UTI is exempt under section clause 35, 100% of the amount. Dividend from unit trust of India is exempt in the hands of unit holders, is exempt under section 10 clause 35. Then current year depreciation. Now all current years are fulfilled, and now let us start adjustment of set off and carry forward. Loss from cloth business deducted. Loss from, now this is my first adjustment of set off and carry. It is carry forward and set off. So less brought forward loss in cloth business. How much is the brought forward loss? 10,000 rupees deducted. So I applied my carry forward concept first time. Then unabsorbed depreciation. Unabsorbed depreciation. Depreciation is also in the PGBP, so deduct it. Unabsorbed, it's also a loss. How much? 2,500. Next point. Loss from speculation. It can be only adjusted against speculative business. Now I get to know that I have to write speculative income in the second last column because some adjustment is required. 3,200 as the profit. Less brought forward speculation loss. Maximum 3,200, because I know that what I know that speculation loss can only be adjusted against speculative profit. So I will write note 2. Speculation loss of how much? 7,000 minus 3,200. Again 3,800 will be carry forward to the next year. And can only be adjusted till maximum 4 years. I cannot tell you exactly which is the 4th year. Why? No, I can tell you, because these all the losses are of preceding year. That means these all the losses are of the previous year 18-19. So 19-20 first year, 20-21, 22, 20, 20, 19-20, 20-21, 21-22 and 22-23. ये last year. Till the previous year, this we have to write in the exam. 22-23. 4 years. 18-19 loss was incurred, and 4 years means 19-20, 20-21, 21-22 and 22-23. Next point, short-term loss. I know that short-term loss can be adjusted against long-term or short-term, but long-term loss can only be adjusted against what? Long-term gain. And I have what? Long-term gain. So my long-term gain is 9,100 less. First, I will try to adjust long-term loss because it can only be adjusted against LTCG, which is 11,400. Now there is no criteria that first of all you should adjust short-term loss or long-term. It depends upon your choice. And basically it is a tax planning question. I know that long-term gain is taxable at 20%. So when in this year your income exceeds 10 lakh rupees, you will go into the 30% tax slab. In that case, it is better that you first adjust short-term loss. Otherwise, your short-term gain will be taxable at 30%. When the income does not exceed 10 lakh, you will remain at 20% loss. And in that case, it is 20% slab, and in that case it is better that you adjust long-term loss, because it will only be adjusted in future also against long-term capital gain only. I don't know whether you are understanding this point or not, because it is a tax planning point. So for your level you can skip this point if not understood. Any loss you can adjust. So I have adjusted long-term loss maximum 9100, and I will say that total gain has become nil now. Similarly, speculation loss became nil now. But what adjustments I need to write? So what you will write in note? That long-term loss कितना था? 11,400. So what you will write is LTCL. You have to write full form in the exam. Of rupees 11,400 minus 9,100. So the difference is 2,300. To the next years, can be adjusted LTCG only till the previous year. Now in this case we have 8 years. So my 8 years will end in 2026-27. You can start counting. And short term capital loss वो तो adjust हो ही नहीं पाया. Of rupees how much? 4,200. But it can be adjusted in STCG as well as LTCG, but only till the previous year. You can count those 8 years, 26-27. Point. Over now. Question is over. Now let us wind up. Final PGBP income has become $2,500. Speculative business 0, capital gain 0. HP income was 2 lakh. Interest I forgot to write. Interest is 1,500. I forgot to write interest also. That is 1,500. So it becomes 39,500. You can do this calculation correction. 39,500 minus 17,500. 22,000. And HP income was 257. So the gross total income GTI is 279. Please check this answer and let me check also from my book. Is it 279? Yes, answer is this. Please raise your hand if the concept is clear. This is how the presentation should be. Okay, very good. Now I will discuss only 2 or 3 small points which you should always remember, otherwise the chapter is over. So let me discuss some common points. We'll take 10 or 15 minutes more. Discussion on some common points of chapter set off. Now, what are those common points? This is compulsory. It is not my choice whether I want to claim the benefit of set off or not. applying the provisions of set off are compulsory. You cannot take a decision that next year I will apply. No, applying the if your loss is allowed to be adjusted, if you have sufficient profit, you have to adjust it. Applying the provisions of set off is compulsory as per the ruling of Gujarat High Court. I'm not discussing those rulings, but as per the Gujarat High Court ruling, the set off application is compulsory. Now, whether it will be applicable across the India or not, of course, there are some debates and issues. So, these are litigation matters. But so many times, if any High Court ruling is found to be acceptable to the authors, that if they found that yes, it is rational, they accept it in their books also, with the expectation that if the case goes to the Honorable Supreme Court, there are high chances that the same ruling will come from the Supreme Court also. It's only the assumption based decisions, because otherwise the Gujarat High Court ruling is applicable in the state of Gujarat only. But so many times in the acts, if we think that yes, the ruling of Honorable High Court of any one state is little bit familiar with the, or not familiar, is little bit similar to what the author is also thinking, authors accept that ruling. Anyhow, but for your level, these things doesn't matter. But applying the provisions of set off is compulsory. Only that thing matters at your level. Losses of exempt incomes are not allowed to be adjusted. If there is any income which is exempt from tax, if there is any income which is exempt from tax, then the losses of that income is not allowed to be adjusted. Like dividend income is exempt. If you have spent something to earn that dividend income, if you have, for example, I have spent 10,000 rupees to invest in the shares of a domestic company. I have what I have told you is I think wrong. I borrowed 1 lakh rupees. Just see this example. I borrowed 1 lakh rupees at 10% interest. So how much is my expenditure? Rupees 10,000 per year. But 10,000 रुपये जिससे बोरो किया उसको ब्याज तो देना पड़ेगा ना. I invested this 1 lakh in the shares of a domestic company. And now I know that whatever dividend this company will give me, that will be tax free. So technically, suppose the dividend received during the previous year 2019-20 is rupees 3,000. What is my income? What is my income? Tax free, 3,000 tax free. So I will write nil. But how much is my expenditure? 10,000. That is another case that the income is tax free, but technically how much is your expenditure? 10,000. Now in that case, you cannot say that I have 10,000 negative, so please allow it to be adjusted. Answer is no. Exempt income losses are not allowed to be adjusted. When income is altogether exempt, then don't show us negative income. This is the main point. It's not allowed. It is not allowed. जब इनकम ही सारी टैक्स फ्री कर दी तो नेगेटिव का क्वेश्चन कहां से राइज हो गया? It is tax. If the income is tax free, losses of exempt incomes are not allowed to be adjusted. This is my second point. Third point. If nothing is mentioned whether the business is, if nothing is mentioned whether the business is speculative or non-speculative, as a convention, then as a convention, normally हम क्या assume करते हैं? करते हैं, it is a non speculative, because speculative कुछ exceptional होते हैं. Always we assume that it is a non speculative business. These are some common points which you must remember. And this last point I would like to show. Let me show you section 43 clause 5, which tells you the meaning of speculative business. Speculative. That's it. That will be the last point of this class, and the topic set off is over then. Let me show you section 43. Clause 5. This is speculative definition. 43 clause 5. This speculative transaction means a transaction in which a contract for the purchase or sale of any commodity, including shares, is periodically or ultimately settled otherwise than by actual delivery. When you actually do not purchase the shares, but you make a contract, these are basically known as derivative trading. In derivatives, forwards, futures, what you do, you don't purchase actually, you only deal. That you expect that after 2 months the price of rice will increase by 100. Some another person is thinking that after 2 months price will fall by 50 rupees. You are thinking increment, other part is thinking decrease. So you enter into contract. Neither of you will purchase actual rise, but you are only dealing that if prices rise, and other person says if the another person says that prices will fall. I am expecting prices rise, so I am willing to bet on rise in prices. He is willing to bet on fall in prices. So whosoever wins, that person will earn the income. So you don't do actual delivery. You are only earning or losing on the basis of expectation without actual delivery. It is speculative. It is speculative. However, I gave you the example of derivative, but derivative is deliberately excluded from the meaning of speculative, as the name suggests, provided that for the purpose of this clause, there are 5 such cases which shall not be treated as speculative. तो डेरिवेटिव एक रिकॉग्नाइज्ड स्टॉक एक्सचेंज के थ्रू होता है. In case of derivative also you don't go with actual delivery, but still if you go by the definition of 43, it should be speculative. If you go by these 3 lines, it should be speculative, but also exception says it is not speculative. So derivative is not speculative. Forward trading is not speculative because these are specifically excluded. But now you must know the meaning of speculative, that whenever transactions are ultimately settled without actual delivery of goods or services, these transactions are nothing but speculative, except some which are specifically written in the Income Tax Act under section 43 clause 5 that these are non-speculative. So you are supposed to learn only 3 or 4 lines that what is the meaning of speculative transaction. That's it. This is what my entire chapter of set off and carry forward. Now this is over, and today we will not meet for the extra class because already we have covered much. Now tomorrow is Sunday, and Shane and Vaishali and Aryaman, if you are willing, we can have the extra class tomorrow also for 2 hours, where we will start the new chapter, deductions. So are you willing for tomorrow's extra class at any time?